we're going to take a look at The Works. This album was released in 1984. It was a big success for the band. After the lukewarm reception to 1982's Hot Space, The Works is a return to form. It's a rockier side of Queen, but at this stage, the synthesizers, the machines, as Brian May called them, are incorporated into the tracks pretty flawlessly. It was recorded in Los Angeles at the record plant. I think the only time Queen ever recorded in the USA in the studio. And Munich in Musicland. Produced by Mac again. This is the 180 gram half-speed mastered pressing. So, like I said, the album was a big success, and Radio Gaga was the lead-off single in January 1984, written by Roger Taylor. Worldwide smash. It's a Hard Life was a kind of a piano ballad by Freddie, which is a brilliant single as well. I Want to Break Free was a single by John Deacon, another big success, probably one of Queen's best known songs. And Hammer to Fall, a Brian May rocker. In your sleeve here is all the information about the recording. It also tells us that this vinyl has been meticulously recreated using the finest technology from the original first generation master mixes. And the lyrics. This is more or less what was on the original. So let's take a look at the tracks. Radio Gaga, that was a big hit, and it's not very unlike something that would have been on Hot Space. There's a synth bass on it, but you can also hear John Deacon playing a fretless bass. It's a great track, really good lyric and a nice vocal by Freddie. It was a huge hit. I think it was inspired by Roger Taylor's young son at the time, saying Radio Caca, Radio Poo Poo or something like that. So it became a huge hit for the band. So Taylor's writing had improved a lot. He also wrote a Kind of Magic 2 years later, so he was upping his game. Tear It Up, it's a Brian May rocker. It's kind of a throwaway track, a bit like Put Out the Fire from Hot Space. It's not bad. I don't think the album would be the same without it, but it's probably one of the lighter tracks on the album. And lyric isn't about much, really. It's a Hard Life. This starts off in an operatic style by Freddie. And it's a brilliant song. Ballad, slows down in the middle with huge soaring guitar solo from May. May's guitar here sounds fantastic, of course. And yeah, it's just one of my favourite Queen tracks. It's a little bit like Play the Game, you know, same type of tempo and stuff. And then we have Man on the Prowl. This is pure rock and roll again, with some crazy piano by Fred Mandel. He also played on Freddie Mercury's solo album, Mr. Bad Guy. Fantastic piano player, and really adds to this. Again, it's a throwaway track, but very light and very poppy, and just Queen having a laugh. Side 2 kicks off with Machines Are Back to Humans. This is a co-write between May and Taylor. Nice synth bass again on this. It's a great track. It's kind of like actually mechanical, you know, it's kind of churns its way along. Some great guitar on it as well. I think May is at the top of his game here. His guitar fitting alongside the synthetic textures. So, you know, you're getting the full whack here. Great vocal as well by Freddie. And the lyric is actually quite funny. It's this drive, it's timeshare, its sex life is quantized. It's actually very funny. I Want to Break Free. Everybody thinks that's a Freddie Mercury song for some reason, to do with his coming out and stuff, but it's actually a song by John Deacon. It was a huge hit. It's quite poppy, and light, but at the same time, it's a pretty serious Queen song. If you ask somebody on the street to name a Queen song, you'd probably end up hearing "I Want to Break Free." The guitar solo is actually a synth played by Fred Mandel. Around this time, Hot Space, Works era, Deacon wanted his songs to be a little bit more personal, or he wanted more of his own input into them. He played guitar in some of his tracks. He didn't like Brian May's guitar. He thought it was kind of, too rock. Deacon was always into the Motown kind of thing. So the band were kind of at loggerheads a lot on these sessions. Next we have Keep Passing the Open Windows. This is a fantastic track by Freddie Mercury. It was influenced by Stepping Out by Joe Jackson. It's got the really fast bass line, beautiful piano chords. It's a great track. Really, really great vocal by Freddie as well. One of my favourite Queen tracks of all time. Hammer to Fall. This is the May rocker. It's good, but the kind of push rhythm of the whole thing wouldn't be my favourite Queen track by a long shot. It's about annihilation by nuclear war and all that kind of thing. Remember, the 80s was the decade of nuclear war. The Russians were going to come and invade us all. And then the album ends up with "Is This the World We Created?" This was kind of a last minute afterthought where the band wanted to put something light on with an acoustic flavour, and they came up with this, and it's a great track. I would call it, complimentary to Love of My Life, which comes from A Night at the Opera. And live, the two songs were played together from then on. There was a lot of material recorded during the work sessions. Some of the songs went on to become parts of solo projects for various members of the band. I think possibly it could do a box set with some live footage as well, maybe on DVD or something like that. There was a lot of stuff done back then. They were really hitting their stride, getting back into everything. I think The Works is probably the strongest album of the 80s. It's definitely stronger than A Kind of Magic and less synthetic, and I prefer it than The Miracle as well. It's a good album, and it's a good solid rock album with all the members of the band on flying form. And I think it could do a box set. They've farmed out some of the outtakes and stuff like that. But there's a good few remixes, and there's a good few outtakes and demos that definitely could go onto a box set. So yeah, that's The Works by Queen. Thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe and take care.